You're listening to The Real Short Box, a comic book podcast made for geeks by geeks.
Hello, everyone out there in podcast land. Welcome to The Real Short Box. My name is Supreme Chancellor Kevin.
I'm Darren the Educator.
And
I'm Donald.
yes, indeed, he is Donald. Simply a Donald.
That's it. Yeah, that's all I got.
Yeah, man, it's very exciting. We are about to have a live caller here on this special Real Short Box, my friends.
Yes, we are. I believe this might be the second time we're going to be talking to an independent comic book creator. Am I correct, gentlemen?
Well, Stacy Pinsonald, of course, kind of, started us a few weeks back. And right now, who are we going to have today, Kevin?
We're going to speak to Ling. He is the writer and one of the co-creators of Genesis 2 comics.
Genesis 2.
Yes.
Nice.
Now, first you might think of what
happened to Genesis 1?
I knew you were going to say the second Genesis, which interestingly enough, this year is the 30th anniversary of that console.
Is it really?
Yep. I actually saw a little YouTube ad. They were like, remember back in the day, Genesis does. They actually
can't get this on Nintendo.
Well, they didn't do that part. They just simply said
okay.
Genesis does, and they started like 30 years or something like that. So they actually have like a Genesis Mini coming out.
And like I said, we read through these books. I suspect it has something to do, a slight parallel biblical with the book of Genesis.
Yes.
However, we're not going to jump to that conclusion. We're going to ask the man himself.
Let him speak for himself.
This is how we roll on the Real Short Box, folks. We love long-form interviews.
Right.
We are here to let them speak. We are not here to promote ourselves.
Nope.
We would like the comic artist to tell you exactly what goes through their mind.
Tell them the
this
process.
is how we do it.
Yes, he's got
It's Tuesday night, and the mood is right.
Yes, I hate to be that person that's a little, kind of brash and overconfident about that, but that's just what we do here. I think it's a format that's very beneficial to all of the listeners out there. We want podcast land to know who you are before we really start digging into your book.
Right. That's always important.
Oh,
Yeah,
I think he's calling.
All right.
Alan, how are you, sir?
Very good, sir. Who am I talking to?
Oh, let me just adjust your volume here a little bit. My name is Darren.
Hey, Darren.
Hey, how are you today?
Real good. I'm actually vacationing, but I'm time to do an interview when you're relaxed.
Where are you vacationing at, sir?
I'm actually in Kauai, in the island of on one of the islands in Hawaii.
Oh, Kauai. Okay.
All right. So if the government's looking for you, they now can find you a little easier.
Yeah, exactly. There's no escape from this island.
So, what I like to do here is, first off, I've read your bio. There's a couple things that I find really intriguing here, and I just want to kind of introduce people to you. So, it says you're originally from the Bay Area. Which part, sir?
I'm from Oakland, California, and I went to UC Berkeley, so I'm an East Bay kind of guy, so I'm across the bay from San Francisco.
Oh, so you're a golden bear.
Oh, you got it. Yes, sir.
Oh, I love Rasputin Records. Do you ever go in there?
Oh my gosh. Yes. Oh my gosh. It's great.
It really is.
I don't know if
So it says here that your parents are originally from China. Is that correct?
Yeah, I'm mostly Chinese. Matter of fact, I did a 23andMe, and it says I'm mostly Chinese.
That's fascinating. You could just spit in a cup, and all of a sudden, now you know everything about you.
Yeah, exactly.
It's interesting. So, you studied music composition. It says your parents were relatively conservative. What did they do for a living?
My dad was a chemical engineer, and my mom was a flavor chemist.
Say that again, please. What was your mother?
A flavor chemist. So she did chemistry on products that actually like artificial ingredients for the USDA.
Oh, interesting.
It's really cool.
So remember that? I don't know how old you are, but do you remember that weird fake peanut butter they put out decades ago? Probably when this was back in the 70s. The fake peanut butter.
Oh, I'm not aware of that.
She was kind of responsible for that.
Interesting.
Fake peanut butter. Wow. Okay.
So I can actually see some of the influence you had for some of the characters you had, because mixing chemicals together, bioengineering, genetic manipulation.
Yeah, my degree is in microbiology and immunology from UC Berkeley.
Okay.
So that
And
makes
then
sense.
I went and got a master's degree in physical therapy.
Oh,
I
okay.
did some lab work too.
So
Yeah,
we're gonna
I'm
get.
kind of I'm one of the yeah.
So let me ask you something. Did you happen to splice a dog with an armadillo at some point?
I think I did some gene splicing, but it's with other kinds of bacteria. I didn't
Oh,
actually go
okay.
into
All
doing
right, just
any
checking.
organisms yet.
Yeah, because I was curious to know if you did any of this stuff in
now.
real life.
So
I'm sorry.
sorry. I just want to continue. So you did cover your physical therapist. It says you're a real estate developer. At age 44, you were diagnosed with cancer.
Hmm.
It-
Yeah, that wasn't so good. I mean, I almost died of cancer back in probably about 14 years ago, back in 2005.
Ooh.
So they said that what I had was terminal back then.
Oh, wow.
But so much for terminal. I'm still alive. So
Oh, thank God for that.
it wasn't a false diagnosis either. I happen to be one of the lucky people that the tumor was encapsulated, so it just spread throughout my whole body.
Okay.
So here I am.
Now
You're
it's
very blessed, sir. Congratulations on that. I've been dealing
Thank
with
you. Thank you.
my mom has non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, so speaking from
Oh, geez, yeah.
someone
experience.
that's had some personal experience, and that it's always really good to hear a success survivor kind of story. So definitely congratulations.
Well, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Yeah. Thanks.
sir. So in 2014, sir, it says you decided to get back into comics and write. I have to ask, was Genesis 2 the first comic you wrote?
Yes. Yeah. I just decided to go large and just come up with, a giant hardcover, 4-chapter comic book, 130. Went for it.
Yeah, so the when you came out with the comic, was there individual issues, or was it just the hardback, like the graphic novel was kind of the first
I
volume?
did the
Was
graphic novel.
okay.
We went through the whole thing.
And that's what we kind of went through as far as like the book itself. We have a copy of that. Is that correct? That's what you gave to Kevin, and we've looked through itself. The graphic novel. It's like the oversized book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Both sides just went all out. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
that's
didn't do
actually
the floppies. I went large.
that's
Yeah.
what really impressed me about that is the overall size of the book and the presentation itself. It looked really good. It was I was really impressed with the style,
Thank you.
the size, the quality of it in general. Um, going big like that, I thought that was a very good, very cool idea. And was that something were you planning on doing like a regular size graphic novel and then you went larger, or was the like going big format kind of what you wanted to do from the start?
I wanted to go large from the start. I didn't want to have to compromise, doing the floppies and then slowly then coming up with a big anthology. I said, let's just go large first, and then maybe after that, reverse engineer and then do the floppies. Um, as you guys know, Diamond is the only distributor of comic books in Canada and this country,
Yeah.
and they want floppies. So before I went and distributed, now I'm negotiating an agreement with Diamond right now for distribution of the floppies. I went ahead and did the hardcovers first because I was self-published. So I said, I'll just go do the whole thing, reverse engineer everything later on. I wanted to go large first,
Uh-huh.
and a lot of them, we gave a lot of them away as public relation gifts. As you know, I'm a physical therapist, but I own my own physical therapy company as well. So I handed them out to all our referral the doctors, and they went nuts. They just, you, what? I thought you just do physical therapy. And I said, no, 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 I also do this. Actually, I used to, I wanted to always do this. I just never had, you know, the, um, the initiative to actually just do it. And finally, when I did, I just said, you know what, life is short. Go, just go with it because we're not gonna get another chance
Right. And
unless you believe in reincarnation.
and speaking about, the whole idea of what you did and stuff. How did this idea start, so to speak? How did you get started? I know you've been wanting to do it, but what was the catalyst that said, "Hey, you know what? I need to get this trade, this 4-issue compilation done. I have this idea." When did this come about?
Well, actually, it actually came about after my father died. My father passed away about 5 years ago, and I just realized, I did have cancer. I still was doing the same old stuff. I really didn't get off my ass and do anything that I really wanted to do. Then my dad died, and I said, you know what? You got to get off your butt and do something because what's going to happen is how many more, wake up calls do you need to actually go back and do what you really love to do? How many more shocks do you need to get it? So I finally went ahead and I actually cut that. I semi-retired from my workplace, physical therapy, which I own. And I said, I'm just going to focus on doing the graphic novel. So I really focused on that for about a year, just trying to get it going. And, the process took 3.5 years. It was a long time from the beginning to the first time it got printed. So anybody who goes into this thing, you better be prepared that it's going to take longer than you think it's going to take, and it's going to cost more than you think it's going to cost also.
Okay, it's Darren here again. So I want to kind of get into Genesis 2 just a little bit. I noticed one of the major concepts and themes here in Genesis 2 revolves around transformation. Um, I kind of immediately began to think of the Wachowskis, Cloud Atlas, Matrix, Sense8, things of that nature.
Cyberpunk.
Why is this theme of such interest to you? And why was this a theme that you really wanted to explore in your story?
I had to change a whole bunch of things. When I wrote the graphic novel, I went through a divorce. I had to cut back my hours at work. I had to reconsider why am I here on the planet? What am I here to really do? And people would say that, okay, Alan, you're doing very relevant work. You're healing people. You're getting them. People can't walk to walk again. You're getting rid of people's pain. What more relevancy can you ask for? But there's something about telling a story and having people transform themselves just by reading my story. Not a whole lot, but just by reading my story, getting a little bit of something from it. And, I'm going to change something that I'm going to do today just to make my life and everybody else's life a little bit better. And whether it's, espousing on what friends do for each other, what friendship is, or global warming, or terrorism, about all these things, what are you going to do to make your life a little bit better? And just trying to reach people and, give them a little gentle tap on the shoulder and saying, hey, what are you going to do today? What are you going to do to change yourself, to make yourself a better person?
Right.
That's very interesting.
That's good. Let me ask you something here real quick. As a creator, what was the most difficult part that lied before you to get this seed, this idea off the ground? Was it getting an artist to work with you? Was it getting just somebody to believe in you? Was it bouncing ideas off friends? What was the one of the most difficult parts that lied before you as a creator?
Finding the right artist to work with me. And, I did some of the storyboarding, um, and just finding another artist who also see that I could talk about things
Mm-hmm.
and be able to come up with a story. That was Christian Bove. Christian was a great guy. When I met him, he was 29 or 28 or 29, and I was 54. And, she had lost his father much earlier than I did. His dad died about the same time my dad died. So his dad died in his early 20s. And here I was in my early 50s, and my father passed away.
Mm-hmm.
And so Christian and I had enough in common that, we were able to kind of work really well together, to try to get the comic book started. And it took 6 months of pre-production and just bouncing ideas off each other before we actually had something that we thought was story work. And the secret behind the story writing, and that's why the comic book is a little bit unpredictable, is that we wrote 5 pages at a time. We did not write the book we didn't have a synopsis or a treatment and from beginning to end. I kept it to 5 pages at a time because I did not want to know what the story was going to eventually, what's going to happen at the end. I wanted it to be some kind of satisfactory ending, but I didn't want Christian to know, and I didn't want myself to know, that then I'd be bored. We'd just be writing something we knew was going to finish, and I wanted to keep it exciting throughout the entire creative process. So 5 pages at a time. That's how we looked at it.
Gotcha. 5 pages at a time. That's an interesting process. Normally, the people will. What someone does is they'll plot out, but it seems like it was more of a journey for you than it was an actual, I guess, story, so to speak. The story came from the journey, if that makes sense.
And I would totally agree with that. I know people always say it's not the destination, it's the journey, and it sounds corny, but the whole thing is, if you make your life a journey, then you won't be as distraught over all the things that happen, because you're always going to be. It's always an adventure.
Right.
Life should be considered an adventure. Every day is something new. You get a chance to try to figure out what you want to do and how
Absolutely.
you want to dress or what
Right.
to eat. It should be an adventure every single day. It should not be predictable.
We only have so
So
much
I
time on
totally
this
agree with that.
planet, so I agree with that. So was this project, since you and the artist shared this commonality, was it almost therapeutic in nature, to where that you guys were working in tandem in that kind of style, or was it more of trailblazing kind of adventuresome, or was it kind of a hybrid, a combination of both?
I think it's a combination. I think you hit it on the head that we were doing a little bit of our own trailblazing. I mean, I'm sure there's other writers and folks who basically would do, working about a few pages at a time when they write and they have a general outline. But for me, it was an adventure into story writing. And the fact that I've only written short stories, or very short stories,
And Alan,
it was probably better for me to write a few pages at a time.
just a quick question, then I'm going to toss it to Kevin. Do you ever get, like, since this is such personal material to you, do you ever get emotional while you're writing this?
I think the only time I got probably a little emotional about stuff was at the very, very end. At the very end of the story, because I knew that it was coming to an end. That this part of my, like I said, the journey was finishing for this book, and I didn't want it to end, so that's why we left it a little bit open ended on chapter 4 about whether things have finished or not finished yet.
Right.
And that's the only time, and that's where the friendship looked like it was a little shaky when they were at the very end of the story. And chapter 5 and chapter 6 definitely kind of bind everything together. We've already written that. We're starting on chapter 7 now, and you'll find that there's a lot more. It's interesting you mentioned the Wachowski brothers because there's a little bit of that going on where somebody else had said once that we kind of alluded to in the hardback, but we never quite said what was going on.
Gotcha.
Hey, I want to ask you a quick question about some of your social influences. I noticed you had like Go Glass, which was like for Google Glass, Bar Jinx for like Jar Jar Binks, and also you have a thing for Elon Musk. His grandson has a great influence in the story as far as technology. So tell me about like the social influences that helped you with your writing.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch that last sentence.
Oh, I just asked you about the social influences, that you use to help you create the story. Where like Elon Musk's grandson is like a big, part of the story.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I listened to Sarah Fell, and George Lucas was always around. I could see him.
That's true. In that area.
Breakfast. I went out for breakfast. I ran through. So I'd actually talked to George at a visual effect me at one point. I used to be a physical therapist at Pixar, so I got all sorts of, I ran into all sorts of people in my career, even as a physical therapist. And so, and George was a really interesting guy. And, his favorite character, he said he wished he was like Barbara Jar Jar Binks. And Jar Jar Binks was kind of this laid back dude, right? Nothing seemed to bother him, right?
Yeah, that's true.
But George, if anybody met George, at least before he got married again, he was a very serious dude. He was serious all the time. And it was interesting. And I picked on our own version of Jar Jar Binks only because we didn't. I thought he was my least favorite character, and so therefore we did bad things to our version of him.
Alan, it's interesting. So I actually did stunt work on Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, and I did get to meet George. And the only thing I remember about him, honestly, is walking onto the set with a fudge sickle and saying, "Hey guys, they got ice cream over here now." And I guess he was relatively stern about it. Now that I think about it.
Yeah, he was. I saw him walking. This is a few years ago. With his new, he had another kid with his new wife,
That's right.
and he was so happy. I'd never seen him smiling the whole time. And it was really happy. This is after he sold. I think it was pretty tough during the time, or after he sold Lucas Films.
Okay, that's probably why I was so happy.
We actually just
Well, yeah, you'd be happy too if you had $4 billion.
Oh, of course,
right?
Well,
of course.
We actually had recorded recorded a podcast too, where I can speak personally. I'm a big fan of George Lucas. I think he gets heavily hammered for a person who has as much influence as he does in this industry. But anyway, let's toss it to Kevin to get more into your books here.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you a little bit more about issues 5 and 6, and then I think you mentioned briefly about 7. So is this issue 7 going to be more about the origin of these characters?
Yeah, we did like what George did. What he went and did prequels, right?
Right.
We kind of did some prequels. We just followed through with some of what George and Lucas had done with his Star Wars series, and we went backwards and we said, okay, we're going to show the origins of Lisa and Daniel. And Chapter 5 centered
the villain
mainly around Lisa. And
issue 5 was quite a twist.
6. I'm sorry?
I said issue 5 was quite a twist. With the origin of Lisa?
Issue 5, yes. And that's when we mentioned the Wachowski brothers, and they had transformed themselves. Well, we did a little bit of that too. So I guess I'll have to send you chapter 6 or something, but yeah, we had to do a little bit of that as well.
Hey, guys, I'm just a quick interruption here. I just want to mention We Can Be Heroes, the best comic shop in the valley, possibly the world. We Can Be Heroes is in Chatsworth, California. Come on down for 20% off on a pull list, vintage toys, new toys, collectibles, vintage comics, gaming, and more. Guys, they really got it going over there. It's a great spot just to hang out. It's like the Cheers of comic shops. We Can Be Heroes, Chatsworth, California. So Alan, real quick, I realized that we've been negligent. We're so excited about the story and the concept and everything. If you're like all these people out here listening right now, what's the pitch you have for them? What's the idea, the nugget of the story that will get them interested, that wants to make them search you out and pick your book up? What do you have? Can you explain it concisely and quickly as far as like what it is this is all about? In other words,
Yeah, give us the hook.
If I was to pick up one general theme that I have in my whole life about, I think they have, maybe in this country, which is a great country, we have an incredible tolerance for evil, and I don't think we should do that. And that may sound tyrannical or inconsiderate or not PC, but we tolerate evil a lot. We think it's okay for people. It's too forgiving when people do something really bad, and it's like, okay, well, that's okay to do that. And it really isn't okay to be mean and nasty to people, and especially getting on the other level where all of a sudden you're killing people.
Right.
So, the way, you negotiate with terrorists, right? And other countries don't negotiate with terrorists.
Right.
Negotiate with the kidnappers. No, you don't. Other countries don't negotiate. They just go and kill them. And yeah, there's collateral damage, but you send out a message that we're not going to negotiate. You're not going to give you any attention. We're going to come in. We're just going to get rid of you because you're no good. And I think because our country is so great, we send out also a good message to people that we're forgiving and we're kind. But yet, be forgiving kind to your friend. They make a faux pas, but some of these other folks, you do not want to be forgiving and kind to them. They need to be gone. And that's the thing about, no matter how persuasive, like the evil guy, no matter how charming and smart and everything he is, he wants to kill everybody. How forgiving do you want to be of that person?
Right.
Right? We keep cannibal murderers alive in jail.
Yeah.
That's
Why
true.
do we do that? We already know we did it. Why do we do that?
So-
I mean, it's clear that they're genuinely guilty, yet we keep these people alive.
So if I can kind of briefly, maybe sum up what you're saying. So you're kind of saying that the goalposts culturally and society wise can shift, and people are justifying bad behavior, and that's just something that really bothers you.
Yeah, and I'm not faulting the millennials. They're a whole different breed. I love them all. My kids are millennials. So there's this thing where there's a certain point where you can only tolerate so much in a society before the society starts to go downhill.
That's true.
And I'm very, very concerned about tolerating certain kinds of behaviors that is not good for society.
Okay, I mean
And
that's
tolerance doesn't mean that you're
I think you were just going to say tolerance doesn't mean stupidity, but I think it's a very clear message. I think we succinctly got what you're trying to get across.
okay.
So back to your stories here.
Oh, and explain to me about the villain. If I'm gonna pronounce his name like Vogt, I'm not saying this right. VOGT. Is he like a combination of like different bad guys that you put together, throughout history?
With him, he's a combination of some of our modern day politicians combined with some of the really horrible tyrants who were genocidal from human history.
Right.
Yeah, I noticed you had
Hitler or some of these other Chinese emperors that wiped out millions of people. There's a whole. So we combined a whole bunch of these people together into one villain.
Sorry to cut you off here, but I noticed that was a really awesome page in that book. When you had Hitler, Stalin, Mao, all those folks. I just that was one of my favorite pages in the book. Like, I mean, it's just I like artistically how you had those people surrounding him in the background. It was very clear. It was not subtle, and I'm not a big fan of subtlety, so I like that.
Plus,
I like getting hit over the head.
plus, he killed 2 billion people.
Thank you. That was a great story for him. I came up with that, and I said, it was real clear. We don't want to have any misconceptions that Boyd is a nice person.
Right.
You succeeded.
Yeah, he's straight to the point.
They have troubled childhood. There's some people are just rotten. They're just rotten to the core. That's just it.
Yeah, and the fact that he killed off his family is even more disturbing.
Yeah. We shouldn't try to make really evil people look like a sympathetic figure.
Right.
I don't get that. Some people are born evil.
Yeah.
We need to recognize that. And some people who are born evil and they're really, really, really smart and they have a lot of money to back it up, they'll destroy everything. So there's nothing because you can have thousands and thousands of law-abiding, kind people. All it takes is one guy with an automatic weapon blow as much lives and damage for one guy.
Well, Alan,
I'm not into gun control. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
I'm saying that it doesn't take a lot to destroy many, many good people's lives. So that's why it's on the planet as possible. I'm not saying it from a religious, maniacal standpoint. I'm just saying that it's a factoid that we need to start addressing that in our society so that even disciplining our children.
Yeah.
No,
Well,
that's not allowed.
what you need
right?
is just a whole bunch of genetic animals that are spliced together that can be at your command. I feel like that's
The world needs an Igor and a Cap and a
Yeah.
Hardo.
But with that, we're gonna have to wrap this up. We do thank you for so much. We know we want you to enjoy your vacation.
Yeah.
We're here in LA and you're in
enjoying my
Hawaii,
vacation.
but whatever. You enjoy yourself, and thank you so much for giving us a call. We really appreciate it very much. We appreciate your time and your input on this, and
bless you and continue to stay healthy. Sir.
absolutely. And anybody that's interested, the name of the book is Genesis 2,
Genesis 2.
by Alan Ling,
Yeah.
and
the website is genesis2comics.com.
Yes, and thank you again. Thank you so much
Yes,
for reaching
Alan,
out.
thank you.
Hey, Donald, Kevin, Darren, thank you for having me on the show, and I am very appreciative. And hopefully, I will run into you guys again next year.
Oh, I'm sure we will.
Absolutely, we'll be around. You take care of yourself.
Thank you. Thank you, sirs.
All
Bye-bye.
right, bye-bye.
Have a good night.
So we want to talk a little bit about what that was all about. Now we want to give you a little more in depth of the story, and for that, I'm gonna turn this over a little bit more into Kevin and Darren's domain because they got a little bit more into it than I did. Sadly, I had to do other things. I had to work. I had to dig a couple graves.
You had to edit.
I had to
do.
edit.
You still haven't eaten your tacos.
I haven't eaten my tacos, so I'm gonna eat my tacos, and you guys talk.
Well, here's the thing, Kevin. Do you feel as though I've really tried to let him speak as much as
Right.
possible because I don't think it's fair for us
Right.
to put the words in his mouth.
Right. Let him explain.
Yeah. So, but I mean, are there some major things that you feel like maybe he didn't cover, or things that maybe he glazed over, or that
Well-
we need to elaborate upon?
Well, one thing he glazed over was how the state of this world he created is in. I mean, basically, more than half the world is under the domination of this Voight character. You using these different ninja terrorists and other corporate terrorists, essentially, that have taken over the world, half the world.
But it's interesting. Before we get into Voight,
Oh.
but the thing is in that book, it's like he split it in two, because that's like the second part of the story. And it didn't quite hit me over the head, but do those stories merge together, or are they just kind of like separate in many respects? So like, because there's like a part 1 and part 2 in
Right.
the same book.
Right. I think at a certain point it does kind of merge together. Like you see, I was a little confused at first myself, because you had the character of Lisa, who was like the scientist who's trying to protect Elon Musk's company's, secret, kind of like the MacGuffin of the whole story, the Therm ID.
Right.
And that's what Voight wanted. He wanted to get access to it, so that way there was like the final piece to his world domination.
Right. And I mean, when you say like, just historically speaking, obviously we've all read about genocidal leaders. When I hear 2 billion people, I mean,
Yeah.
we just have to quantify here.
That's-
According to our best records, depending on who you ask, Mao Zedong, generally it's believed he killed about, under his regime, 59 million people perished. I've heard numbers as high as 80.
Wow. I know Stalin was over 40 million.
Stalin was around 45
million.
and then Hitler was roughly 27, but it depends who you ask.
Also, King Leopold II also murdered like probably millions and millions of Congolese. A lot of people don't know about that.
Yeah, and Genghis Khan, he ousted 11% of the world's population.
And then later on, as you know, today, probably about 1 out of every 5 Asians, I believe, have his DNA. Some ridiculous number.
So I get it. He has to raise the bar a little here,
Yeah.
because it's interesting, like the population has grown, but I don't feel like the world population has grown massively like others would say, because
Did you
when I've
all-
grown up.
I don't mean to interrupt, but did you all watch Marco Polo on Netflix?
Negative.
No, I haven't seen it. How is it?
Talks about Genghis Khan a lot, actually. It has to do with him, and
So, yeah.
it's the guy that played Doctor Strange's right hand man. what's his name?
Oh, Juan? The guy that
Juan.
played Juan?
Yeah,
Yeah.
the guy that played Juan.
I like
He's
Juan.
on that
Plays
show?
him. Yeah, he plays Genghis Khan.
Oh,
It's,
nice.
It's a good show. Highly recommend it. But anyway, get back to it. Sorry.
Yeah, so like it's an interesting thing, and I feel as you read more of the books, because that's such an amplified number, just to give you historical context of the folks who died under communism or fascism for that matter.
Mhm.
But just to see that he's amplified it up like that, I would be very curious in concurrent stories afterwards to see what other elements might be amplified in the story.
Right, because for what it's worth, you would like to learn a little bit more about this Voight character. It's very like a simple origin. He's just always always an evil person. You want to know what triggered that evil. Was there some kind of childhood trauma that made him go down that direction, to go and first kill off his family, and then take over his his family corporation? And then, of course, as you know, throughout the story, he went and studied at Berkeley and studied under Elon Musk's grandson.
Now, I can't quite put my finger on how I can compare or how I can describe the art, because there's obviously people can be influenced. People have also original ideas that just kind of pop up in their head. Can you put into words? Because I don't really want to misrepresent what his art is. I just
To
found
me,
it effective.
it kind of had like an anime vibe to it a little bit, in my opinion. Kind of like an anime vibe style, in my opinion.
Yeah, very colorful.
Very colorful.
Very yeah, and it's like because the characters themselves, especially the Lee character, and I'm sorry, his friend's escaping me at the moment. They were
It's about Daniel.
Yes, Daniel, thank you. Very friendly. Like they look very friendly, welcoming type people. Like they
Mhm.
don't really they saw features, and obviously I almost like they almost look like not to sound incorrect, my opinion, but like they could belong in like a more children friendly kind of thing, because they look so peaceful and welcoming. And obviously once you get the VOD, I mean, he's just the sinister just reeks off of him.
Way before that, you have a drone crash into his apartment. That's where that's where the story begins.
Right.
For Daniel, and then you're introduced to his three hybrid animals that are like his protectors. And I thought that was pretty cool. The splicing of different animals, and then they literally.
What were the
your
three
best
animals?
friend. The three animals. There was Ardo, there was Igor, and then there was Cap.
He
Well,
killed.
what were they though?
Let's see. Ardo was like a combination of a dog and like a porcupine or something like that. It was just like an interesting
Armadillo.
I'm sorry. Thank you, Armadillo. Igor was like the gorilla mixed with. He had wings. It's like
Kinda cool looking, yeah.
Falcon maybe or
falcon,
something, or like a
that.
phoenix.
Very
almost?
cool
Yeah.
looking figure there.
Yeah, it was. Like seriously, in real life, if I had that as my freaking bodyguards, I'll take that.
He was a sassy monkey.
But
Yeah.
a lot of these animals, a little spoiler here. I mean, he's not afraid to kill these things either.
That's
in
true.
his books.
no,
that's true.
absolutely not. There was a lot of death. So,
Oh, plenty, a lot of blood.
but I mean, basically, so this, Alan came up with this idea.
And Christian.
He he met Christian, and the two of them then brought the idea to fruition,
Yeah, spent many years.
so to speak. Created this trade of four issues, if you think about it.
Mm-hmm.
Then created issue 5 and 6,
Right, the origin issues.
right? And then is now working on issue 7, if I recall.
Yes.
And
So it's a work in progress for sure, but it's great.
And okay, I'm sorry. I'm going to take a moment to really bask in the sun a little bit here. It sounds like you heard it straight from Alan himself. He is a fan of George Lucas. And I don't want to speak for you guys, but I will speak for myself.
Go ahead.
I think George Lucas is absolutely hammered way too much what he's contributed to the world of comics and art and stuff like that. I'm just glad that I had somebody on this phone that is a very big Lucas fan. That's just refreshing to hear.
Well, he grew up near there. He grew up not too far from Skywalker Ranch.
But he still doesn't.
And he,
Yeah, well, I mean, Clint Eastwood did Dirty Harry
Dirty
movies
Harry,
there. He
right
doesn't
there.
necessarily like Dirty Harry. I don't know. I
Right.
didn't ask him, but I'm
Right.
just saying, I like when that happens. I really like to see it, because at least I speak very kindly on this podcast of George Lucas.
Oh, we
and I know
all do.
You guys
We
do.
all do.
Yeah.
Well, put it this way: George is getting a little bit of love lately, last few years after what Disney has done to his franchise.
Yeah.
So
The
I think
Last Jedi or whatever.
I think at this point George has been forgiven for the prequels.
Yep,
Because
absolutely.
I could not have imagined anything even being potentially worse.
Can I say it again? Like I said on a previous podcast, miss George yet? Dork side? Miss him yet? Okay.
Yep.
I do.
Anyway, with that, I think we've kind of got the gist of the whole thing. We got Alan's interview and what he thought about everything, and how he came to the concepts and stuff.
And once again, we want to thank Alan Ling for calling in. Really appreciate
On
that.
vacation.
On
on vacation,
Hawaii.
taking the time to give us a call.
Now, Alan has multiple children. I don't know if the children are with him on vacation, but if that is the case, I give him extra kudos for
Right,
throwing
because
himself
it's
away.
not
It's not
early
hard.
in the
It's not
day,
easy.
you know? It's like 8:30 at night when we're doing this right now.
That's
So,
true.
Alan, we really appreciate it, and we appreciate your work. We
And good
appreciate
luck to
you,
you.
reaching out. So, thank you so much, and thank you for all the listeners out there that are listening to the Real Short Box. We appreciate you, and we want to know that we want you all to know that we're a friend of the independent comic book world and comic books in general. Kevin. And I got a Dave Stevens special Vampirilla comic book.
Was it signed?
It didn't even have the title on the book. It
Was
was
it
like
signed?
no, it's just
Oh.
no. It's just the artwork itself of Vampirilla. It's so beautifully done, guys. Check our Instagram page. We just recently posted a picture about it here not too long ago of Vampirilla with that Dave Stevens art. It's beautiful. And when I bought that, I bought it for $25, which is a steal of a deal. And with that, thank you so much for listening. Please reach out to us on Instagram,
YouTube.
Facebook, YouTube. We have our podcast up on all kinds of formats. Darren, what's one of our formats?
Well, Sprecher, which is kind of a fresh new one.
Yeah, Sprecher. We have it up on what else?
Are we on Spotify too?
We're on Spotify now. We are also on Google Play Music and iTunes as well,
There
everybody.
we go. No excuse. If you have an iPhone or an Android,
Android.
there's no excuse not
No
to
excuse.
listen to this righteous podcast.
And you know what? If you can't listen to it, maybe we'll see you
At the righteous and wonderful, beautiful comic shop.
This has been The Real Short Box. We'll see you at the comic shop. Thanks for listening.